What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Happy Monday to you guys. Hopefully you guys are having a good one today. We got a bit of news here from Plarium about the upcoming events for the CVC we got starting tomorrow. Before we jump into that, just want to let you guys know that I will be streaming at the start of CVC, so make sure you guys drop on by on YouTube if you guys are around and want to check it out. Just gonna be hanging out, doing our CVC thing. Yeah, it's a good opportunity. I haven't been streaming for a little bit. Honestly, we had a little bit of a holiday break, so looking forward to getting our stream on tonight. So make sure you guys drop on by. Without further ado, let's jump into what Plarium have to say about the events for tomorrow. All right, guys, so it looks like they have some progressive events happening for each day of CVC. Top left here, that is going to be on the first day. Keep in mind that the rates for everything is not boosted, so you're going to have these normal rates. But the chances of getting the 15x champions will go up. For non-void legendaries, you're looking at about a 7.5% chance of getting the legendary, and for voids about 20%. So it's a little bit better, but still not great odds. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you guys are pulling. Usually these are pretty bait events. It's not really worth pulling for unless you're close to Mercy or anything like that, just because the rates are not boosted. But yeah, you get a slightly higher chance at these champions above. Let's jump into some interesting champions here. So first up, we have the Cheshire Cat, which is one of the cool new champions that popped up. I love the way this champion looks. Just looks badass. And there's there's a part of me that thinks maybe this guy's gonna be like the guarantee champion at some point. Maybe like a Deck of Fate, maybe a Hero's Path, maybe something along the way. There's 5 new champions, highly, event champions or whatever. So why not? Why not? Like we had Freya, for example, in the Asgard one. So why not have the cat as a guarantee? Unless they're just going to give us the Knave as a guarantee, which is kind of disappointing, to be honest, because that guy's not going to generate a lot of hype, I think. Anyways, to the cat. He's pretty cool as a damage dealer. He's got 15-20 attack, which is pretty decent. His A1 is a single hit, and then it becomes an AoE if he's under Veil per Veil, and then places a Veil on himself after he attacks, which is cool. So he can self buff himself to get that benefit, which is nice. Got 30% damage from books. His A2 single target triple hit. Got 20% from books down to 3-turn cooldown. Decrease the enemy speed by 1%, stacks up to 10. This effect will not work against bosses. Each hit will also increase this champion's speed by 1%, stacks up to 10%. It's pretty slow ramping. You get 3 applications of this feline frenzy A2 before you get 9%. So you need 4 applications before you max this out. That's a long while. So I don't think this is a great benefit. If it kills somebody, places prevail on this champion and the ally with the lowest turn meter for 2 turns. That's fine. That's fine. There's some champions already like that. Attack is damage based on attack and speed. So could be interesting. It's similar to Razzlevarg. He has these kind of multipliers as well. I don't think his multipliers are anything too insane, though. So the damage output for him is probably a little bit tempered. His A3 here is an AoE before attacking, places Veil perfect Veil buff and increase attack on this champion. That's nice. Down to a 4-turn cooldown. Gives an extra turn if it kills somebody. I mean, it's super straightforward attack or super straightforward ability here. His passive effect. If this champion is under Veil perfect Veil, turn meter fill effects are 30% more effective. So make sure you guys be careful if you guys are speed tuning your arena teams, for example. Just means he can be a little bit slower than your other champions because he's going to get more of a benefit if you're using like Arbiter, for example. Yeah, if he's under Veil or perfect Veil, this champion's attacks will ignore 15% of the target's defense and inflict 15% more damage. That's nice. It's just a blanket buff for his whole kit, so that's pretty good. And then his active effect, whenever his champion is about to receive a hit that would drop it below 20% HP, blocks the incoming damage and places block damage and perfect Veil. That's nice, right? Any damage dealer that has some kind of built-in survival mechanic is very good. Instantly makes them a little bit more viable in arena settings, for example. This can't really be, you can't really stop this unless you place like block buffs on them. Then they can't place the block damage or the perfect Veil, of course, then they die. So that could work. But yeah, overall pretty solid looking champion here. We got the speed and all aura battle. No debuffs from this guy, just self-buffing and damage. Overall pretty simple, straightforward kit, to be honest. Make sure you guys keep an eye out for a showcase for him, so we'll see exactly how he works and how he does and then you guys can make up your mind whether he's a good champion or not. So moving on, we got Duchess Lilitu coming on day 1 of the CBC for this progressive event. So she is still an incredible support champion, great base stats overall, great passive overall, which protects your team against AoE damage. And the A1 small shields, got the veil, block debuff, increased attack buff here. And then he's got the team revive with the speed aura as well. Still one of the better support champions in the game. Was definitely a little bit winded after Narcisse was introduced, because Narcisse really punishes shields. But you know, if you pull her, you're happy. You're happy. So still a great champion, great carry, no matter where you are in the game. Moving on from that, we have another huge champion here. We have Hero. Hero is an incredible champion and probably still one of the most wanted non-void champions for me. I can't believe this guy has evaded me for so long, but yeah, I mean, he's one of the better, one of the better champions for Chimera, for Hydra. Very good at boosting your team's survivability and then giving you some more damage output. A1, single target decreased speed, and then we'll ignore 20% of the target's resistance, meaning he needs less accuracy. His A2, AoE has a chance to place decreased accuracy and block buffs. So this is one of the biggest things for him, is that he covers the block buff debuff for Hydra, but he also brings damage himself by boosting the team's damage, which is really good. There's not too many block buff champions that have really strong like damage boosting abilities or can deal really good damage themselves. So Fiero is one of those champions that really just elevates your Hydra damage. His A3 increased resistance and perfect veil on all allies also can cover the the torment head. So you don't need somebody like Shimeo, you don't need somebody like Duchess or something that does no damage. But yeah, so and then he has this really cool passive here, and the big one is if any allies under 4 more buffs increase their damage dealt by 20%. That's really big, and it's pretty easy with Fiero. You put him in a 9-piece protection, you also get increased 10% bonus from these buffs as well. Yeah, really good champion overall. I would be really happy to have it. He's going to be up for grabs tomorrow on day 1. After that, we have Torreyhart. Torreyhart from the High Elves here. He also brings Perfect Veil as well. I guess that's the theme for day 1 here. A1 decrease attack single target. It's got the 3-turn cooldown block debuff, increase defense. You know, when Torreyhart was first introduced, he was a Christmas fusion, and this ability was actually really strong. Like a 3-turn cooldown block debuff, increase defense is actually above average value, like really good value at that time. Obviously power crept since then, but this is still a good move, especially for clan boss and all that stuff. So if you got him, he's good. His A3, attack all enemies, places perfect veil on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Also places a shield on this champion for 2 turns equal to 20% of the damage inflicted. Rhyme actually does decent damage, so this can do okay. So you can definitely build him for damage and have him support your team like this, and it's totally fine. His defense-based damage dealer, so he's not going to die too easily. One attack reflects 30% of that damage to this champion's received back to attacker, also 30% chance to freeze. This is actually pretty annoying, the freeze part of it. The reflective part of it, it's not going to be super impactful, but the freeze part is really good. His decreased accuracy is interesting too, so you can use this A1 on bosses and stuff. That's kind of where he was used often when he was first introduced, like kind of like a Bommel type champion to deal with. You can also use him to deal with the head of Torment as well, but this is on a 4-turn cooldown, so you're not going to have good uptime on it. He's still overall a decent champion. He's good in clan boss, like I said here. Deals decent damage as well. All right, last but not least, we got Candraphone here. Candraphone, Candyman. One of the better force affinity damage dealers. Although super power crept now, and although probably killed off from the meta when Harima was introduced, a whiles back. Still one of the really good A1s here. If you have a buff, he's going to hit you for 3x times 2, so 6x on his A1, which is really strong if you look at that. Alice actually has an interesting A1 as well. So if she gets the triple hit on her A1, her triple hit's like a 5.2, which is actually decent. But Candraphone here, like 2 hits for 6x is really good. He's got an AoE here. It's all business. Yeah, all business. Just if he kills somebody, he gets an extra turn. So it's easy. He's got self-buffing mechanic here, which is really nice because he brings some of the good damage dealer buffs, increased attack, crit damage, and then Veil to protect himself, and a passive that synergizes off that Veil, making him a little bit harder to kill. And then he can further add Veil to himself again if you turn your boost against him, which is pretty cool. Yeah, low base attack, which is a little bit harder to make him hit super hard, but he can still do some fun, still do some good business actually in the arena, for example. All right, onto the voids. We got Yumiko here. Yumiko is obviously going to be a huge prize. Still a big player in all those Trenda teams for Hydra. Still very relevant in, for example, Arena, for example. She brings the reset. She brings the reset and then lockout right here on a single move. It's a really cool passive that kind of makes her really hard to deal with because of this veils. But yeah, she's a great champion, one of the best, most sought after void legendaries in the game. But yeah, she's going to be up for grabs. I think she's going to be the big prize here for people that are wanting to pull some void shards tomorrow. And then lastly, we have Little Miss Annie here. Little Miss Annie, yeah, there she is. Little Miss Annie here, single target, kind of a single target damage dealer here. She can hit pretty hard. She got almost 1600 attack, so she can do some damage. Got some ignore defense on her A2. She's got a pretty cool passive here that when she's revived, she attacks the enemy that killed this champion with the default skill. Also fill this champion turn meter by 25%. Places a shield on this champion equal to 50% of their max HP for 2 turns. She kind of when she revives, she kind of comes back and deals some extra damage, which is like a little bit interesting. It's kind of like a revenge kind of thing. A3 here with the big ignore defense. I mean, she's kind of just for fun. I think she was a guarantee at some point. I don't think people were really hyped about her, to be honest, and I don't think there's like any new breakout comps or teams or uses for her. But yeah, cool looking champion at least. All right, guys, so that wraps up day 1 of the progressive events. So right now I just changed it up. It is day 2 on the progressive events. And yeah, we have another featured champion here from one of the events, from the Alice and Adventure events. It's going to be the, where the heck is he? Nave of Hearts. So the Nave of Hearts here, great looking champion. He's got the same aesthetics here as Little Miss Annie. Yeah, I love the look of this guy. It looks really cool. You know, in the story that if you guys watched it for the promo code, I believe he dies. So that's why he's probably in the undead. That's pretty cool. But yeah, he's got an A1 here, double hit. He's got a chance to provoke. Books up to 50% chance to double hit twice. You know, it's like Husk, right? It's like a Husk hit, so it's like 75% chance to land a provoke. Very uninteresting A1, to be honest. It adds a little bit of a heal on top of it, but it's basically this slightly better. It's going to be slightly better than like Husk's A1. His A2 AoE has 100% chance of stealing 2 random buffs from each target, which is pretty cool, similar to like Wukong, I guess. Places continuous heal on all allies except this champion. Also plays unkillable and taunt on this champion on 3-turn cooldown. This could be pretty annoying, right? Like you have this champion stealing your stuff, placing taunt and unkillable, so it could be really, really annoying. 3-turn cooldown makes this pretty viable, so that it comes back around and around. His A3 here has got an HP. He's got a swap HP with a target enemy, then places heal reduction, so he kind of just shuts down one champion completely. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. This debuff can be removed, transferred, and have its duration decreased. Then equalizes the HP of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought to the level of the ally with the highest HP, and then places increased defense on all allies. So this could be interesting, right? You swap HP with somebody's really high HP champion, and then it full heals your team, and then you place increased defense on them. And then that champion that you just took the HP from gets a heal reduction. So it's really hard for that champion to basically recover. And it's, you know, it's interesting. It's an interesting ability. You know, obviously for manual play, this could be really good. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think it's particularly game breaking or anything like that, but it seems decent. His passive here at the start of this champion's turn fully restores this champion's destroyed max HP. Okay. When attacked, destroy the attacker's max HP by 20% of the damage received, up to 50%. So it has, I mean, you could use this against like Scarab King, I guess. When the Scarab King attacks, Scarab King will lose max HP, which is good. And then yeah, this guy kind of has like a built-in, well, it's not like a heal set. It's not a heal set, it's just destroyed max HP. So not as good as that, but interesting passive. It could be useful. There's some instances where this max HP can be very good. Obviously, like Fire Knight does some max HP stuff, but I don't think this guy's particularly good for Fire Knight or anything like that. He looks like a PvP champion, especially with this A3 ability. But yeah, he's probably the least interesting out of all the Alice champions so far. All right, up next we have Freya. Freya up for grabs here. A great champion. I think I've been seeing her a little bit more often in like tag team arena and stuff like that. Great champion here, very solid kit. A3 3-turn cleanse with the block debuffs, also turn meter fill, very good. And then she has a 3-turn increased defense, a big shield here on everybody. Very, very good. And the A1, low chance for provoke, 40% chance only, and then it activates when a shield is broken. This is actually kind of annoying. So if you're using her as a defender in arena and then you're trying to kill off her teammates, she uses this ability pretty frequently because she just spams this, the shield breaks, and then she can just use this. I've seen her built with as a damage build, and this A1 actually hits pretty hard. Cool passive effect here. She boosts her own damage, which is really good. And her active effect here has a chance to keep one of your champions alive when they receive like a fatal hit. This is not going to work against multi hits, but against single hits that kill somebody, you're going to keep somebody alive. Good base stats overall, good speed, good champion overall. So she was a Deck of Fate champion back in the Asgard Divide event. Up next we have a Kyoku. Kyoku here. She's still really solid in a lot of areas. She's good, for example, like some kind of go second tag team maybe. She has a passive here similar to Seeker. Similar to Seeker, when she receives a crit, she's gonna place increased defense against your whole team. She also has ally protection, block damage, which is really, really nice. Really good for like clan boss. This is good for clan boss too. Decrease attack here on the A2, sorry. Really good for clan boss again. And the A1 weaken. So she can actually be used in a lot of areas. She's a good carry. But yeah, it's more of a progression champion. Let's move on. Up next we have Blizzard. Blizzard here from the Ogren tribes. He was I think the last Halloween fusion. I think some people were down on this guy, but I like this guy. I think this guy looks cool, and he has a cool kit. Well, I mean, a kit that actually seems okay. He's a triple hit here, chance to freeze, good against Fire Knight. And then he has a passive cleanse here, right? These are cleanses that are pretty hard debuffs. And then he has increased defense, ally protection on a 3-turn cooldown. I mean, very viable for like clan boss and all that stuff. And then his A3 here attacks all enemies. It's a freeze on a 4-turn. Also has a chance to decrease turn meter. A little bit of CC. He's good for waves. He's good for clan boss. He's good for Fire Knight, breaking the shield. It's good for just some control as well. Also has a real cool passive here that allows him to, kind of do some work in like places like Sand Devil. He had the ability to basically solo the Sand Devil. I couldn't get him to work fully, but basically the way it works is that Blizzard can place Brimstone, and then his passive basically keeps him from dying, and then he has to cycle back to the Brimstone. The timing of it is very tough to build, especially after they changed the Sand Devil, of course. I think there was some ways to make him work, but I'm not 100% sure, and I don't think I would fully advocate like building him out for Sand Devil because I'm not too sure myself how to make him work. But this passive makes it possible for him. So still a cool champion overall. If you get him, he's good for progression. Last non-void champion here, we have Gaia's True Shield. Gaia's True Shield. Is she high elf? Let's see. I knew she was magic. Here she is. She's in the Night Revenants. True Shield. I do have a showcase on her. She is interesting because she brings a increased duration on all buffs on a 3-turn cooldown, which is really good. She's supposed to be like a defense-based damage dealer. She brings 4 buffs herself, which is interesting as well. I think she fits pretty well in some of those teams that really require the buffs. So she can put like a protection set and she can give your team a lot of damage. She also brings the increased duration, which is really interesting, makes her fit in a lot more teams. We tested her damage and her damage was kind of mediocre, to be honest. So like I remember I put her out with like 10 buffs and she had my best defense based damage gear and she just wasn't smacking. So I wouldn't focus her too much on damage, but you know, she can chip in a little bit of damage, but mainly focus on her buffs and then focus on this increased duration. So decent champion, but you have to find some really crazy use case for her right now. But let's move on to the voids. We got some cool voids here. We got first up for grabs. We got Brazier Iron Gut. Very strong champion overall, like in all areas. We got an A1, places a shield on all allies except this champion. The value of the shield is proportional to this champion's defense. That's great. You gotta just get a solid A1. It's a solid A1 with the big shield. Like some champions attack one enemy and then place shield on one ally. This guy attacks all enemies and then has a shield on all allies. It's really strong. His A2, it's a heal, it's a AoE, and then it's a heal, and then increased duration on all buffs. So it's just a 3-turn increased duration, but it's also a heal as well. His A3 here is going to be a 3-turn cooldown. AoE places a provoke and then increases resistance and increased defense on your whole team. Cool passive here that keeps him alive. Whenever he is attacked, he heals up your team, and then when he is killed, he plays unkillable buff on himself. So overall, just a really great support kit. He's hard to deal with, and he can deal some damage too because his hit is actually enemy max HP. So it's actually a really good champion here for Iron Gut. Mainly for Hydra where you see him, but he's actually, you know, can be used in many areas, of course. And lastly, for the Void champions, we have one of the best Voids in the game. We have Sifi, the Lost Bride. Incredible A1 that just irresistible sleep, which is super annoying, as we all know. We got the 4-turn whirlwind here. We got the block debuffs, increased defense, increased speed. A small turn meter boost as well. Single target revive on the 4-turn cooldown. Perfectly suited for Rotos, of course, 55% HP. That specifically benefits Rotos. Yeah, increased attack, increased crit rate. And then you got the passive here where she can basically ignore some of this freeze and fear. And then cleanses Rotos at the start of the turn. So this makes Rotos really, really strong. Obviously making him hard to control. Great base stats overall, great base speed, 114 with resistance in all battles. One of the better, you know, one of the best Void champions still available. Yeah. So anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the progressive events for the CVC. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of run through here. And yeah. Like I said, guys, I'll be streaming during CVC, so if you guys want to drop by, I will be there. Also, keep in mind that these progressive events are basically just events to grab shards from you. So these are pretty low chance events. I would suggest to hold on to your shards unless there's something here that you really want and you are close to mercy, so you actually have a chance of pulling something. But yeah, best of luck if you guys are pulling. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in the next one.